Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live episode of Langer at the Mic, another Habs post-game show. It's all pretty much we're doing here at Langer at the Mic. We'll mix it up in the coming weeks. Just been really busy, except for still making time to cover the Habs after their games, after every single game so far this season. Another loss for the Montreal Canadiens. This time they get shut out 3-0 by the Edmonton Oilers at home on the Bell Center, at the Bell Center, excuse me. And I'm going to keep this one short today, honestly, just because it feels like the last four games have been pretty much a very similar story. And yeah, I'm not going to play favorites. Usually I get really into my good habits and bad habits, but today just honestly, going to tell it like it is. So look, the last four games, like I said, just they have not been good. You lost to the Ottawa Senators, the last place Ottawa Senators. You barely beat them 2-1 in Ottawa. And then you come out flat against the Leafs yesterday, but okay, it was after a couple of days off. But you had a chance to bounce back tonight, and the Montreal Canadiens did not bounce back tonight. Look, I mean, one of the few really, really, really good players in that game today was Jake Allen. I mean, look, he made great saves. He was especially in the first period, he was essentially hung out to dry by the Canadiens defense. There were 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, odd man rushes galore all game long that Jake Allen had to face, and he stopped 28 out of 32 of them. 28 out of 31 of them. Yeah. So just he was hung out to dry. Look, glove saves, stopping Connor McDavid, who had two really good rushes, stopped multiple, like I said, 2-on-1s, one-timers. There was an Adam Larson one-timer in the second that Jake Allen led perfectly. Larson essentially could have did what Justin Hall did yesterday, where he could have just caught the pass and had a whole minute to tee it up and place a shot wherever he wanted, because he was left wide open to Jake Allen's right side because the Habs were just lost in their zone again. And look, the fourth line played well, and I've been praising them a lot all year, but here's the thing. They just, as much offensive possession and as much time that they'll spend in the opposing team zone, they did have one bad shift where they got hemmed in their own zone, but for the most part, again, they played a lot in the Oilers zone, Evans, Byron, and Lehkonen. But again, just the reality is you can't rely on them to score because they're your fourth line or they're your third line. They're in your bottom six. You cannot rely on Jake Evans, Arturi Lehkonen, and Paul Byron to get you goals when you need them, when you have guys like Tatar, Gallagher, and Suzuki, Anderson, Kotkaniemi, Toffoli, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't be relying solely on your fourth line for goals like that, even though they play in the offensive zone a lot. Yeah, okay, they give you good shifts and they outcompete and outwork or outplay the other team's fourth or third line, but you can't rely on them to get you goals, and that's the bottom line. Drouin did some good things today. Look, he fed Nick Suzuki with a beautiful pass, but I find Nick Suzuki, whenever he has a breakaway, like you've seen it in the abbreviated training camp from this past off season or brief off season at the beginning of January. You've seen it in the past where Suzuki usually chooses deke over shoot. Usually I say shoot when you have a breakaway over deke, but Suzuki, if you're good at deking, just go for the deke. But Suzuki oddly went for the shot, and it wasn't really challenging for Mike Smith. And just look, you need. And then going back to Drouin, though, we need goals from Drouin. Okay, he's playing really, really well. Don't get me wrong. He's setting up. He's setting up Anderson, Suzuki, and playing well with the puck on his stick and creating turnovers, like I said. But in a game like today, you want to see Drouin, be more. I think he had one or two decent, maybe shots on net. Not even really. Didn't really challenge Mike Smith that much, but he kind of tried to get the puck to the net. But still, you need more. We need to start seeing goals from Jonathan Drouin. Josh Anderson, look, he's big and fast, which is cool, but he took a really dumb frustration penalty in the third, and it led to the Tyson Barrie goal, so that doesn't help. Deneau, I found, was less awful tonight than yesterday against the Leafs, but he just still can't do anything offensively, and to me, there's no reason why he should be playing ahead of Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And if you look at the Edmonton goals, I feel like the first goal that the Oilers scored, it was the Yoa Kaira. Yeah, if I pronounced that correctly, pardon me. Just that goal was, to me, an epitome of how the Montreal Canadiens have been playing in these last couple of games. Juhar Kaira. anyway, I'll have to pronounce it for my TV class tomorrow. But anyway, so look, that was where Suzuki literally just tried to put the puck in deep, but it went off the Edmonton defenders' shin pads, and that created the turnover in the neutral zone where Joel Edmondson was flat-footed at the Habs blue line, and I think it was Archibald or I forget who the or Turris put it off the boards to Archibald, who was streaking in, and then he fed Kahira in front of the net, who basically just look, it was a 2-on-1 where again Petrie, like between Suzuki making the turnover, Edmondson being flat-footed at the blue line, and Jeff Petrie not covering the 2-on-1 pass, like those are 3-4 strikes and you're out. And Jake Allen, look, you can't really ask him much more to make that. Like, he didn't really have a chance on that goal anyway. So to me, again, you saw this from Petrie on that instance, and you saw this from Kulak yesterday as a defenseman on the 2-on-1. Just cover the bloody pass. Don't get distracted by the puck carrier. Honestly, once you're already in that position, like where you're just like a 2-on-1, let the goalie handle the puck carrier 1-on-1, and as a defenseman, just take the bloody pass. Don't let that pass get through. Second Oilers goal, look, that was just kind of bad luck, honestly, but the Habs just were also just not playing well in their own D zone there. Weber tried to clear the puck after a Jake Allen save, which hit the no, and it went in, and yeah, just look, it wasn't... I feel like that was more bad luck, but just I also feel like, again, that's just, fundamentals that were done poorly by the Canadiens in their own zone that led to that goal against. And I feel like Ben Sherratt these last two games, man, has been 2019 pre-bubble Ben Sherratt and not 2020 bubble, early 2021 season Ben Sherratt in these last couple games. Just every time he has the puck on his stick, like it's just, plays are harder than they have to be, I find, he got away with a pretty ugly hit in the corner. I think it was on Draisaitl. So he's taking penalties, especially in the Ottawa game. He took two really dumb penalties in the Ottawa game. And yeah, just Sherratt has to be a lot better. Jeff Petrie did have a nice hit on Draisaitl, like the hip check in the second period. But I feel like yesterday was good, but today he wasn't as awesome as he usually was. And like I said, he was flat-footed on that goal against by Kahira. Romanov and Kulak were better tonight than they were yesterday, but still not great. And at one point in the second period, they just friggin' collided with each other trying to hold the blue line, and the Oilers just came in on a pretty easy rush. I feel like these last two games, Romanov just doesn't look comfortable. Like he's just like in the first 9-10 games, he would easily carry the puck at the blue line and walk the blue line and make plays. Right. And then every time, like the first pass out of the zone was easy for him. But now it's just the game's not coming easy to him. He's still hitting, which is nice, but he's just positionally, and again, just in terms of just making basic passes out of the zone or holding the blue line in the offensive zone is just not coming easily to him right now. And yeah, just overall, look, defensively, the Canadiens just keep turning the puck over. I think it was 8-2. The turnover is in favor of the Oilers in the first period. They're giving up more odd man rushes, as many, if not more odd man rushes now than they were getting themselves through the first 10 games, because they were getting a lot of odd man rushes that through when they were winning games in the first, before they played the Ottawa Senators last week. And it honestly should have been 3-0 for the Oilers after the first period. But again, Jake Allen played really well in that first period. And of course, not winning one-on-one battles and just having a hard time getting out of their zone, And yeah, it's just not like there was one instance against the Leafs yesterday where the Habs actually did break out really well out of their zone. I think Price came out to stop it, and one defenseman evaded a Leafs forechecker, passed it around to the other defenseman, who evaded another Leafs forechecker, who let it go over to the winger, and it was easy. But that was probably the only maybe one breakout that stood out to me by the Montreal Canadiens in the last two games that was like easy. But every time it just seems like they're just, having a really hard time breaking out of their own zone. Excuse me. On the offensive side, the Canadiens are just really, really good at taking 1 million shots, 38 tonight to be exact, from a mile away with no purpose whatsoever other than hitting the logo on the goalie's jersey. Like this for Mike Smith, okay, sure, he faced 38 shots. Habs put 38 shots on Mike Smith, but they were just like nothing. Like all of last year, like kind of like against the Calgary Flames when they got shut out by Markstrom. sort of against like the Senators and pretty much like against the Leafs last night. Look, the Habs are just, they put up 1,000,000 shots on net a game, but like 2 of them are dangerous. And like, look, this was an easy shutout for Mike Smith. And it was basically like, it was a warm up to a goalie practice, where you're just taking shots from far, right at the chest, just allowing the goalie to feel the puck a little bit and control rebounds and just get a real feel for the puck. The Habs just gave Mike Smith a warm up to a goalie practice with 38 shots, 38 times in this game. And yeah, like I said, look, the Habs just can't also create odd man rushes. Just their speed game has been non-existent in the last 4 games, except maybe a couple of instances of Josh Anderson, using his speed down the wing. But besides that, it's been non-existent, and whenever they are maybe going to create a turnover or an odd man rush, they're just completely out of sync. They make one extra pass or shoot right in the middle of right in a defender's shin guards, and that's that. Part of it, I feel like, is also puck luck, because there were times where the Canadiens were kind of able to get a screen on Mike Smith. And okay, maybe the rebounds, like Mike Smith did a okay job controlling his rebounds, but he also gave up some fat ones that the Canadiens weren't there for, and also in terms of deflecting pucks, Toffoli had a good idea deflecting a puck like from the point, and also Gallagher deflected one right up in front of the net, but again, just landed right at Mike Smith instead of to an open side, So puck luck is definitely part of it, but the large majority of it, I'd say a good 75+% of it, is effort and confidence and just working together as a team, which the Canadiens are just not doing right now offensively. And look, there are no fans at the Bell Center, so it doesn't really matter. But another thing with the Montreal Canadiens this year that we've seen in the last probably 2 years is that they're just not good at home, which is really, really frustrating, because you'd like to hear, the Habs goal horn and goal song go off like when the Habs played the Canucks last week, right? Or like when they played the Calgary Flames in that home opener. You want to hear the da 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 hey, right? You want to hear that more often. You want to see the Habs win games at home. That's a hallmark of being a good team, is winning games on home ice, whether they're fans or not. And the Habs are just really bad at the Bell Center. They're 3-4 at the Bell Center this season, but 5-0-2 on the road, and of course 0-2 in their reverse retro jerseys. And honestly, like, look, I tweeted this out before at Mike Langer on my Twitter account, and I'm honestly looking forward, for the Habs' sake, to that week off where they could just hopefully just regroup, and then they're gonna play I think it's like 17 games in a month or so, or in the next month between, I think it's February 23rd until like March 26th or something. They play about 17 games in that span. So look, the Habs right now, look, there's ebbs and flows to a season, and like, just look at how bad the Oilers were the first 2 games the Habs played them compared to how they played tonight. And yeah, just look, this is still just a 2-game losing streak. And sure, the Habs lost 3-4, one of which against the Sens, but this right now, for what it is a 2-game losing streak in back-to-back nights after 4 days off, right? Even though, like I said, it feels a lot worse. But just, man, the Habs just have to find a way to respond, because, and especially against the Leafs Saturday night, right? Because, and a good thing it's a road game, right? Good thing at least it's in Toronto and not in Montreal. That could be, hopefully a good thing for the Canadiens to go on the road right now and just get out of the Bell Center, where they just struggle for whatever reason, But most of all, the biggest thing, like I said, is if the Canadiens are truly a good hockey team this year in 2021 compared to 2020, is that this rough patch of losing 3 out of the last 4 and now losing 2 games in a row doesn't become an 8-game losing streak like last year. That's the most important thing, or the biggest sign of this Canadiens team being different. If they're able to turn things around, if they're able to get a big win against the Leafs on Saturday night, and even though they'll have the week off after that and they won't be able to build on that, but then they'll go right at it against the Leafs the following Saturday. And then, like I said, they play 17 games or so in the next 30 days between February 23rd and March 26th, or 18 games or something crazy like that. So they're going to have to play their best hockey in those 18 games, of course, to make the playoffs, of course, right? Because that's, if the Canadiens lose 8 games in a row, that becomes the fear, is missing the playoffs, of course. I personally put Corey Perry back in the lineup on Saturday, just for his veteran presence, and honestly, because he was one of the Habs' best forwards against the Leafs the other night. Yesterday, excuse me. And just honestly, who you sit, excuse me, who you sit, I don't know. But figure it out. And one last thing I do want to say is thank God that Paul Byron was okay on that shot by Joel Edmondson from the point, Yeah, excuse me. Just had a protein bar before. That's why I'm a little raspy here. Excuse me. But yeah. Oh boy. All right. There you go. That's better. But yeah, just thank God that Paul Byron was okay from from taking that Joel Edmondson shot from the point to the back of the head. And yeah, just look. Onto the Leafs. Hopefully the Habs can bounce back on Saturday. But that's all we got here on tonight's Habs postgame show here on Langer at the Mic Live. If you enjoy my content, as usual, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mike Langer. I'll include that in the description below. And this has been another Habs postgame show here on Langer at the Mic Live. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.